Hey adventurers! Today we're going to be doing our Mid-Year Book Freakout Tag.
So this is one of those tags that kind of just everybody does and nobody really tags people in it unless they want to, but they don't still most of the time. And it just one that is supposed to be done in the middle of the year, and it just happens that we are in the middle of the year. So it kind of worked out perfect. Question 1. Best book you've read so far in 2023?
I had this and now we have to pull up our lists again.
Yeah.
The best book that I read was Mortal Sight by Morgan Elbuse, I think. I read a lot of books. I really enjoyed this so far this year, but this one really stood out to me. I remember finishing it, being in love with the world, and that was going into the book not expecting to like it very much. So maybe that's why my overall enjoyment was so high, based on like the first page I'd read. I just wasn't feeling it, and it just won me over. It was such a great story.
I have the real answer and one that is kind of like an honorable mention type thing. That honorable mention one is The Legend of Blackjack by A.R. Witham, which I actually have on the floor here, so I'll pull it up. This is one that it's not my favorite book, but just it's the one that of the favorite books of the year, this is the one that I will be rereading time and time again, just because I loved it so much. But the real answer is Les Mis by Victor Hugo. This is just incredible, massive story. Yeah, there's so much to talk about this book that it's kind of hard to talk about the book. So yeah, that's the one that is my actual favorite that I've read this year. Question 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2023?
So I have 2 answers for this, and technically the first answer shouldn't count, but I'm going to say it anyways, and that's Activated by Nova McBee. I had been putting off finishing this series for whatever silly reason, and it was a fantastic, the series isn't finished.
No.
It was a fantastic end to the published series that we have so far. Yes. Such a great story. We will forever be talking about the Activated trilogy, which is Calculated trilogy,
which is going to be
it's going to be a quadrilogy.
Quadrology.
Anyhow,
or quartet. So
that was my initial answer, but then because that's technically not a sequel, that's book 3 in the series. Okay. I also chose Blood Secrets by. Secrets
in the Mist, the first book.
Yeah, Secrets in the Mist is the first book, and I'm blanking on the author's name right now. But I really love this story. This was one of the sequels that I had to get as soon as I finished book 1, and actually that's not super normal for me. When I'm reading a series, it takes a lot to get me to pick up that second book right away. So the author of this is Morgan Elbuse. So who wrote
Mortal Sight?
Will you look that up?
Yeah.
So those were the 2 beginnings I had. Mortal Sight was
Sandra Fernandez Rhodes.
I'm sorry for confusing those. And what was your sequel?
Well, if we're going by book 2 being the sequel, then it would have to be Bone Shroud by Andrew D. Meredith. The answer that I was going to give was going to be Sons of the Oak by David Farland. This is the 5th book in the Rune Lords series. It's actually the first book in the second arc of the series, and it just incredible book. So yeah, those are what my answers are going to. Question 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to.
I have a couple answers for this, mostly because I don't follow new releases very closely. So a recent release is, I'm gonna have to look up the title, sorry.
Okay, well I'll go while you're looking things up. So I didn't actually prepare an answer for this, but off the top of my head, the ones that are coming to mind are Fourscored by Andrew D. Meredith, which the reason why I haven't read this one is because I haven't read Thrice yet, which is the first book in the series, so I can't list that one. The other one that's actually the first book in the series and that I actually do want to read and that I'm anticipating is The Way of Idan by Philip Chase. This is another self-published novel, but I think that this is going to be a series that works really well for me based on what I know of Philip Chase and what I know of this series and listening to other people talk about it.
Okay, so the 2 books that I have here, one, I'm pretty sure it's not a new release, but it's like new in my brain, and that's Realms of Light, which is a sequel to Mortal Sight by Sandra Fernandez Rhodes.
Yep.
So that's the first one, and then there's another book that someone I know recently published called A Western Novella, Drew, and I'm looking forward to reading that. It's a recent release as well, so I actually ordered that. It's a novella, so I know it's going to be short. I'm currently reading Les Mis, and so this is going to be my reward. When I finish Les Mis, I can read a tiny little novella.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. For another one new release that I'm actually excited for is Half Human Heroes, which is a collection of short stories by various booktubers compiled by Jeremy Fee. And this is one that I actually own the physical copy of. I ordered it release day, or maybe the day before release day, I don't remember. And just very excited for it. It's got a lot of stories by booktubers that I really like. Question 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year.
I feel like since we had so many answers, they can apply to this.
Well, yeah.
I honestly don't know. Oh, maybe Through the Looking Glass.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
no, not that. Oh my goodness, I do that every single time. I say the Looking Glass
Trials?
word. So the sequel to the Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. I don't know when that one
yeah.
comes out though, so I don't know if that's this year.
Sometime soon, this month I think,
Maybe.
something like that.
Okay. So let's do that
yeah.
one.
Do I have a good answer? I guess my good answer for this one would just be book 4 of Sanderson's 4 Secret Novels, so Secret Project number 4. That's the best answer that I would have for that one, because I don't pay attention to new releases at all. I have heard that the Awakening book 2 by Jonathan Renshaw is possibly coming out this year. So if that's the case, then that's the one for sure, but I don't know that will come out this year.
Also, the title for the book I'm referring to is The Looking Glass.
Question 5, biggest disappointment.
I have some interesting answers, do you have to look up titles? Because I do.
I know the title of this one.
You can go ahead.
So my answer for this one is Grave Peril by Jim Butcher. This is a book that book 3 in the Dresden Files, and one that I didn't really particularly love books 1 or 2, but I didn't dislike them either. They were just kind of, oh, this is fine, I'll read the next one in the series and hopefully it gets better. Book 3 got worse, significantly worse, and I did not like it at all. And I was expecting it to be, oh, this is fine, maybe even, oh, this is actually starting to get good, because everybody says this is where it gets good, and it didn't work for me at all, so unfortunately, that's my biggest disappointment.
Okay, so my biggest disappointment is I read The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and I was really looking forward to this, and it didn't feel like it didn't come across as authentic and genuine, and I've actually talked about this kind of extensively before, so I'm not going to go into detail about why that is, even though it is based on a true story. So I guess maybe that one's one of mine. And then I also read a book called, and I have to keep reading this, The Ship Beneath the Ice, which is supposed to be about the adventure to finding the Endurance, so the captain who went and found the sunken ship, the Endurance, and his challenges and the struggles. And there was things I liked about this book, but I was heavily disappointed in just the way that he presented some of his information. He included so much about climate change that it really felt irrelevant to the book I was reading. So
the actual answer that I have for this one is The Ones in Future King by T.H. White. This is I love Arthurian literature, and this one was just not working. I will talk more about this when I eventually get the review of, but T.H. White tried to tell at least 3 different stories in this book, and they did not come together at all, and it didn't work for me, which is really sad because it's a classic and it's Arthurian literature and I wanted it to work. Question 6, biggest surprise.
So I'm gonna say both books by Brandon Sanderson, The Alloy of Law and Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I just wasn't expecting to like them to the degree that I did. I really enjoyed The Alloy of Law. I'm looking forward to reading more in the following saga, the second saga of the Mistborn Era 2 of the Mistborn trilogy. So I'm looking forward to reading more of that. And Tress of the Emerald Sea I was told I would really enjoy, and I did, and I was just surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
Have we talked about book? Yeah, it was in best
Biggest
book
surprise.
of the year. What do I want to use as my biggest surprise? The Maze Runner. I'll use that one. That was one that I actually did expect to like, but I didn't expect to like as much as I did. And yeah, so biggest surprise. We'll go with that. Favorite new author, whether this is a debut or new to you.
My answer for this is Amanda Flower. This is not a debut author, but it is new. She is new to me. And I started reading a couple of her murder mysteries, and I am just loving them so much. They would be considered cozy mysteries, I guess, which is so funny, and I don't know, I just really like them. I'm enjoying them so much.
I think the answer that I am going to go with, although it's not, oh, this doesn't work because I haven't read his debut novel. Let's see, let me change my answer real quick then. I will go with Mike Mullman. He wrote Becoming a Druid, or the Protectors of Brittany series, which is Becoming a Druid is book 1, Sins and Sorrows is book 1.5, and then To Speak with Elders is book 2, and I've really enjoyed the whole series so far. And I don't know that he'll be like a top 10 favorite or top 5 favorite author or anything like that, but at the moment he's the best answer that I can come up with off the top of my head. So, question 8, newest fictional crush.
Okay, so are we going to do the short explanation or the long explanation?
I don't know what the difference between those
are.
are.
I have one for both.
Okay, we'll do a short explanation.
A short explanation is I don't really get fictional crushes in that sense, so.
Yeah, so we just don't have answers for this one. And we're going to skip this question because it's dumb anyways.
It's a little,
a lot of people have issue with this question.
Yeah, okay, we'll go on.
Question 9, newest favorite character.
I'm going to go to... I have this problem where I don't remember main characters' names in books. So what is the main character's name in Alloy of Law?
Wax.
Wax. I like Wax and Wayne a lot.
Yep, they're good characters. Let me scroll through here and see if I have a favorite character.
I might have other people, but those were, I noticed them. I'm also going to mention the main character in Enhanced by Candace Cade. I really liked her. Once again, I can't remember her name, but I liked her choices that she was making.
The character Thalion Orden, or Thalion Orden possibly, it's the main character in the second half of the second arc of the Rune Lords series by David Farland. Definitely a character that I'm really liking how his story is progressing so far. I don't know. I've never actually looked at the spelling of his name, so based off just what I'm hearing, I can't tell if it's Thalion or Thalion. Question 10. A book that made you cry.
I don't know if this made me cry. I don't know if I have a book that's made me cry, but the one that put me in the most emotional turmoil was probably also Activated by Nova McBee. There's just a lot in that story, and she does a fantastic job of including the struggles and the hurt that people are going through.
And I don't really cry at books, so I don't have a great answer, but one of the books that hit me hard, Worldbinder by David Farland. I'm just getting a lot of David Farland praise in this video, but I've been reading through a big series of his, and it's been good. But there's a moment in Worldbinder that I was not expecting and just hit really hard. Question 11, book that made you happy.
I kind of have two answers.
Go for it.
I don't know how to answer. This is another question. You're like, how do you answer this?
Just do it.
But books I really liked, Pride and Prejudice. I actually laughed a lot in this book. It was just witty. The prose was witty, and the characters were witty. And so I laughed a lot in Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And then I also really liked, and it wasn't that this book made me happy because of the situation, but it's the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. But overall, the story made me happy.
Yeah, I'm going to limit my answer to one, and I'm just going to go with Secret Project number 2, which is the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. And this is one that I had no idea if I was going to like it or not. It was Sanderson trying something new, and I just ended up really liking it. I enjoyed it more than Tress, which is Secret Project number 1, and everybody else seems to love it more than Secret Project number 2, but I like number 2 better. So, question 12. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received?
Okay, I don't have access to my second bookshelf just at the moment, and most of this is books I've previously owned, so not new releases. But I do have access to Les Miserables, which I recently got. It's a really pretty hardcover. Here's a little secret for you all, and you people can hate on me some more for damaging books. It came with a dust cover that had like the movie.
It was a movie tie-in
cover, and I threw it away because it did not look pretty, and this was way better. So, I know, all the hate in the comments.
So, I'm going to bring this book back up. Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England by Brandon Sanderson. I didn't know how the blue was going to look in real life, but in real life, this blue cover just looks really good in my opinion, and it pops, and it works way better than I was expecting it to, and then really that I was hoping it could. So that's my answer. I didn't technically buy it in 2023. I bought it in 2022, but then I received it in 2023, so I think it still counts. Question 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year?
So I typically am not a huge reader for sequels. That's not something I really am excited about reading, but I am interested in reading the rest of the Mistborn Era 2 series, so I've got 2 more books, and then also I really want to read book 3 in the Story Peddler trilogy here, whatever, Lightweaver, the
Weaver.
Weaver trilogy. I really want to read book 3. I really want to read book 2 of The Mortal Sight. So just kind of sequels is where I'm at. The only other book I really needed to read this year was Les Miserables, and I'm currently working on that. So
I just realized that we have an answer for new release or most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and that will also go into this question. That is Liberated by Nova McBee. This is book 4 in the Calculated series.
Yes.
That's the one that I definitely will be buying and probably reading on first day of release. The other answers that I have for books that I need to finish, that I'm actually planning on reading this year before the end of the year, is book 7 and book 8 of Rune Lords, which I'm not going to try and remember what their names are off the top of my head, so we're just going to have to pretend like you know what they are. And then Secret Project number 4. I'm already halfway through Secret Project number 3, so that one doesn't.
Well, we got through the tag. What do you guys think?
Alright.
We're really bad at giving proper answers,
Well,
I feel
because
like.
we always do these on the fly. We just come and sit down with the list of questions and like,
Yeah.
I guess we're gonna figure it out on the go, which is alright. It's just a I don't need to say anything. Anyways, thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and our social media is linked in the description down below. We'll see you guys again soon. Stay.